Hello, everybody. Before we get started, I just want to say that there are spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, watch it and then come back to this review. I repeat, there's spoilers, so do not watch this if you have not seen the movie. Anyway, now that we got that out of the way, today we'll be reviewing the new Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man No Way Home. This is the third Holland Spider-Man movie and is directed by John Watts, who's directed all the Holland Spider-Man movies. It stars Tom Holland, Zendaya, and Benedict Cumberbatch. This movie's been very hyped by the media and just by everyone in general. A lot of people that I know have just been like, "Oh my gosh, you gotta see this new Spider-Man movie. It's gonna be so good." And like me and my friends, for example, we got tickets like 2 weeks before the movie just because all the theaters were filled. It was really crazy. I didn't really have much expectations really going into it. I kind of just thought it was gonna be okay, and that's it. I didn't think it was going to be bad because all the Tom Holland movies have been pretty solid so far. I was really wrong about that. This movie was absolutely amazing. In this movie, it is directly after the last one where Mysterio reveals that Spider-Man is Peter Parker. He also frames him and makes him look like he killed a bunch of innocent people, which he didn't. The movie revolves around the struggle that Peter has of not being seen as a superhero and not being able to separate his superhero life from his normal life. Peter then goes to Doctor Strange, which, by the way, I'm sorry, I'm not a big Doctor Strange fan. I thought he was probably the weakest point of this movie, but not bad. He wasn't in it too much. If he was in it a lot, I would have been okay with it, but he wasn't in it that much, so I'm fine. And he asked him if he could just cast a spell and make everyone forget him and go back to normal. And this goes wrong, and you have a lot of issues with a bunch of different realities and a lot of stuff colliding. I loved how in the first half of this movie we really see the introduction to the villains of the old Spider-Man movies who are all amazing. I loved all of them, and Jamie Foxx was actually really enjoyable. He's probably my favorite of the villains. Of course, didn't have that horrible CGI from Amazing Spider-Man 2. And so the first half you had the introduction to the villains, and then the second half you have the introduction to and yes, I'm gonna say it, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, which the whole movie theater freaked out, and that was really funny, but also just awesome. Nostalgia in this movie was absolutely amazing, and this is one of the best moments really came for me. Just the references were just so good. Some stuff that I probably didn't even pick up on. I mean, I've seen all the Spider-Man movies, but still, there's a lot of references and a lot of good references. It was really funny. There's a moment where they're all working together and they're all comparing, like, Tom Holland was like, "I fought Thanos," and Tobey Maguire was like, "I fought Green Goblin." It was pretty funny. And then they had to number each other because they like all have the same names, of course, and of course they give Garfield the last number, which is funny because he's like the worst Spider-Man. It was hilarious. I just really love the dynamic between Holland, Maguire, and Garfield. I also just loved how, for what seems like the first time in Holland Spider-Man movies, we finally get like real emotion and heartbreak. Not to say that Holland's other movies weren't like sad or anything, but this movie was like Tom Holland had to deal with sorrow, man, heartbreak. It was kind of sad to see. Again, another spoiler, but by then you should already know. Aunt May dies in this movie, and it's pretty emotional. But we really see Tom Holland learn what it really means to become Spider-Man, and that's a pretty cool thing to see. One of my favorite parts of the movie is the redemption that my boy Andrew Garfield gets. Andrew Garfield's, guys, he takes the fattest L of all the Spider-Mans. I'm not even joking. As you remember in Amazing Spider-Man 2, he tries to save Gwen, and he can't, and then he doesn't even get another movie. That's it. His love dies, and now he doesn't even get another movie. It's a sad ending, and I felt bad for his character. But in this movie, you get this moment where MJ, Zendaya, her character's falling and she's like about to die. It's just like the Gwen. It's filmed the same and everything. It looked exactly the same, and it's up to Garfield to save her. And everyone in the theater was just like, "Oh my gosh!" Like everyone knew, they're thinking like, "No, not again, not again." But thankfully, he saves her, and it's just such an awesome moment. The tears in his eyes, the redemption that he gets. It was just so awesome to see. I also just love the pace of this movie. It was very fast paced and a lot of action. Like I was never bored at any moments in the movie. And then the ending of the movie was kind of sad, but it made sense and it was a good way to end off Holland Spider-Man. All in all, I love this movie. It was probably the best movie theater moment I've had since COVID hit. It was just so fun being at the theater. It's completely full and everyone being invested and laughing and also crying at some points. It was an awesome movie experience. In my opinion, I think this is the best Tom Holland Spider-Man movie. And I do think Tom Holland is the best Spider-Man. None of his movies were really bad, like I said. The first one was great. I love the first one. The second one wasn't as strong, but it was still pretty solid. It set up an amazing finale. I highly recommend this movie if you haven't seen it, and also just recommend that you watch all of the Maguire movies, all of the Garfield movies, because you won't really appreciate this movie as much if you haven't seen it and don't know the background. And just there's good movies in general, you know. Maguire's movies are solid. Garfield's, not really, but not bad. First one's fine. Amazing Spider-Man 2 is terrible. After all that's said and done, I give this movie a solid 8.6 out of 10. So thank you for watching, and tell me what did you think of this movie. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let me know, and have a great day.